Okay. Good afternoon, class.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I am teacher Zila Carmel Kubilian, and I will be your teacher for today. How's your day?
It was great, ma'am.
Okay, so before we proceed to the main part of our lesson, let us first have an icebreaker for you to be active for the whole class time. And this will be part of the lesson that we will be tackling. Are you all ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is a motivational activity and it is called Pause and Wows. Let me read the instruction. This is a great game to help a classroom or team of students build camaraderie. Have each group share words and make a declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory sentence out of it. It's simple but effective. Okay, to start the activity, you will be grouped into four. And since you are 12 students here, each group will consist of three members. I already gave the list of groups yesterday, and I think you made a group chat. So you may use that for some sort of discussion during this icebreaker game. I will give you 5 minutes. You can now start forming a sentence out of the assigned types of sentences. Okay, time's up. Okay, so now do you have any observation about the activity that we have?
Yes, ma'am. Out of the icebreaker game, I noticed that you tell us to make a sentence using the four types of sentences, and it is related to our topic for today.
Okay, what a good observation. Originally, our topic for today is about the types of sentences according to its use and structure. I have here a PowerPoint presentation as visual aid to clearly present the topic for today. To start with, let us first talk about what is a sentence. Okay, so a sentence is a group of related words expressing a complete thought. It has a subject and predicate. Okay, so I have here an example. Jack owns a beautiful car. So in this example, Jack is the subject and owns a beautiful car is the predicate. So this is an example of a sentence. Okay, so in this part, we will be tackling the four types or kinds of sentences according to its use. So the followings are declarative sentence, a statement, interrogative sentence, a question, imperative sentence, a command, and exclamatory sentence, an exclamation. Let us first talk about declarative sentence. A declarative sentence is a sentence that states a fact. Such sentences are simple statements. They state, assert, or declare, and it ends with a period. An example of this, chrysanthemum is the national flower of Japan. This example states a factual information and it ends with a period. So this is an example of a declarative sentence. Next, interrogative sentence. An interrogative sentence asks a question and it ends with a question mark. An example of this, would you like to watch some movie? So this example, it states or it asks question and it ends with a question mark. So this is what an interrogative sentence is. Okay. Next is imperative sentence. An imperative sentence gives a command, makes a request, or express a wish. And it also ends with a period. Examples, go to your room. So this example gives a command and it is an imperative sentence. Please lend me your phone. This example makes a request and it is an imperative sentence. Last is have a nice day today. This example express a wish and it is an imperative sentence. Always remember that an imperative sentences gives a command, makes a request, or express a wish. Last is exclamatory sentence. An exclamatory sentence expresses sudden and strong feelings. such as surprise, wonder, pity, sympathy, happiness, or gratitude. And it ends with an exclamation point. Examples are, I can't believe it. My phone is broken. Okay, so these are some of the examples of an exclamatory sentence. Okay, so now that you already know the definitions and I gave some examples of each types, any clarification?
None so far, ma'am.
Okay, I am pleased with your participation anyway.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so our next, I mean, sorry. So always remember that a sentence may consist of one or more clauses. It's either dependent, it's either dependent or subordinate clause. It is an incomplete thought that cannot stand alone as a sentence. And independent or main clause, it is a complete thought that can stand alone as a sentence. An independent clause is also called main clause, and a dependent clause is also called a subordinating clause. So our next topic will be about the kinds of sentences according to structure. I will discuss this topic, so all you need to do is to listen carefully because this is an important matter on how to deal with sentences. Okay. On the basis of numbers of clause and types of clauses present in a sentence, sentences are divided into four kinds. First is a simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, and complex compound sentence. First, let's talk about simple sentence. A simple sentence consists of only one independent clause containing a subject and a verb, and it expresses complete thought. There is no dependent clause in a simple sentence. An independent clause, also called main clause, is called a simple sentence. So I have here an example. She will not be coming. So this example, it has subject and predicate. But the question is, what is the verb? Okay, so in this example, the verb is coming. We all know that a verb is an action word. So coming is a verb since it is an action word. So this is an example of a simple sentence. Next is compound sentence. A compound sentence consists of at least two independent clauses joined by coordinating conjunctions. So the underlined words is the coordinating conjunctions. There is no dependent clause in a compound sentence, same as in simple sentence. Independent clauses can also be joined by a semicolon. A comma may or may not be used before the conjunction in a compound sentence. So example, I helped him and he became happy. So this example in a sentence is separated by a coordinating conjunction. So and is a coordinating conjunction and it separates the sentence. In this example, it has a two independent clause. That is why we put a coordinating conjunction to separate the two independent clauses. Okay, so next is complex sentence. A complex sentence consists of one independent clause and at least one dependent clause joined by a subordinating conjunctions. Again, the underlined words are the subordinating conjunctions. So examples, stay in the bath until the phone rings. You will definitely lose if you don't try. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Okay, as you can see, the highlighted words and the underlined words there in some of the, in the examples are subordinating conjunctions. And the reason why they are placed in the middle because they separate the two clauses, the independent and the dependent clauses. Okay, so this is an example of a complex sentence. Okay, so if a complex sentence begins with an independent clause, a comma is not used between clauses in a complex sentence. Example, he is playing well although he is ill. As you can see, we use a subordinating conjunction rather than a comma because the beginning of this the beginning words of this sentence is a dependent clause. That is why we use a subordinating conjunction. If a complex sentence begins with dependent clause, then a comma is used after dependent clause in a complex sentence. Example, although he is ill, he is playing well. If a sentence starts with a dependent clause, we must use a comma to separate the sentence, not a subordinating clause. Okay, so if a sentence starts with an independent clause, we must use a subordinating clause to separate the sentence. But if the sentence begins with a dependent clause, we must use a comma to separate the sentence. Okay? So last is complex compound sentence. A complex compound sentence consists of at least two independent and one or more dependent clauses. It is also sometimes called compound complex sentence. Example, he went to college and I went to a market where I bought a book. In this example, there are two independent clauses. He went to college and I went to a market. And one dependent clause where I bought a book. Okay, so this is an example of a complex compound sentence. Okay, so now class, let's remember that sentences have four functions. They can be declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. Can you again tell the differences of the four?
Declarative is the most basic type of sentence. Interrogative asks questions. Imperative tells someone to do something, and exclamatory expresses strong emotion.
Okay, very good. And let us also remember the right punctuations to use when forming a sentence.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so for the summary, a sentence is a group of words expressing a complete thought. The four types or kinds of a sentence according to use are declarative, interrogative, imperative, and exclamatory. The four types or kinds of sentence according to structure are simple, compound, complex, and complex compound. Okay, so now to actually apply the lesson that we have about the types or kinds of sentences according to its use, we will now have a group activity. This group activity will be 30 points, and all you need to do is to write a brief sentence using the four types of sentences and support your answers. I will give you 5 minutes for the group discussion. Okay, so time's up. So now let's start the activity. Group 1, present your work, followed by the group 2, 3, and 4. Okay, group 1.
Declarative sentence. The boy walked home. The boy is the subject and walked home is the predicate. Aside from the definition, it also makes statements about the present, past, and future of a case.
Okay, very good. Next group, group 2.
Interrogative sentence. Why does the sun shine? This statement proves that all interrogative sentences always end with a question mark, and just like every other type of sentence, it has a subject and a predicate.
Okay, very good. Next group, group 3.
Stop bothering me. As one of the four main types of sentences, they have an important role in both speaking and writing.
Okay, why do you say so?
Because it gives a forceful command, that is why it has an exclamation point at the end of the sentence.
Okay, very good. You defend your answer. Okay, last group, group 4.
Wow, he just won a gold medal. You can use such sentences to show an immense range of emotions. This kind of sentence is usually used in informal online essay writing and conversation, for instance, when talking to a friend.
Okay, very good. I am truly impressed with your participations, and you prove that despite the struggle of this online learning, you still manage to participate and do your best to learn and actively indulge yourself. Um, so that will be the end of our lesson for today. Hope that you learned something from this lesson, and looking forward to meet you next week for the next topic that we will be discussing. Sorry. Thank you, class. God bless and goodbye.